Hey guys, I just told you I had something special for you for Father's Day. So we just got through Mother's Day, and let's face it, if you did what you should have done on Mother's Day, you spent for sure 50 bucks, and you might have spent 100 bucks or 200 bucks or 250 bucks. And Father's Day's coming up. It's middle of June, so we're a month away. We're right on a month away, and what we know on Father's Day is you're going to either get socks or underwear or a new wallet. That's the three gifts we get on Father's Day: socks, underwear, new wallet. And not to say that most of our wives don't look at us and think, boy, he really needs new underwear, because usually we really do need new underwear, but it's not what we want. We know what we want. We want fish and stuff. So I had this idea, and I approached the guys at 6 Cents with this idea, and they loved it. So here's what they've done for us. We have created in the link, there's a link below in the description where you can give to your wife or your loved one or your mom or whoever might, or your kids who might be buying you a Father's Day gift. And they have an option of one of two boxes. There is a $50 box and there is a $100 box. So it's more than $50 or $100 worth of gear, and I'm going to show you what you get in each one of those boxes. Each one of them will come in this nifty, which I love this, it's a 6 Cents fishing product bag. You're going to get, the first thing you're going to get, because you see me wear them all the time, I'm a really big fan, and you can see by my face, I'm very fair complected, so I always in the summertime wear a buff. So it's a cool 6 Cents buff, one of those things you see me wear up over my face. And then I talked with, so I've got specific baits I like to use in the late spring and summertime on Rayburn, and I really wanted to include those baits along with, I talked to Casey, the owner of 6 Cents. I said, tell me some of the things that are selling quietly that maybe I'm not using that I should be using, or some of the other guys aren't using that they should be using. And then I picked the colors on each one of these baits. So let me show you the $50 box first. So it's going to be 6 baits in the buff in the $50 box. The first one is a Movement L7. So an L7 is a really, really unique, it's a humpback bait. So the L7 is a 5/8 ounce bait. It runs 2 to 6 feet deep. It's a big long bait, you'll see. And the color I picked mainly because we're coming around, or the bluegill spawn's just about on and will be for a while. This is what's called custom bluegill. I think you can see that okay. And then the other one, again, a real unique motion you get from 6 Cents crankbait is the 80X. This one only runs 1 foot to 3 feet deep. So if you're fishing down on the south end, and hopefully as the grass comes back on the north end, these are really nifty baits when the fish are shallow to crank around on Rayburn. Also, just one of my favorite little crankbaits that they make is, and by the way, I didn't tell you the color on that one. The color on that one is, that's the baby, oh, sorry. That one is the baby bluegill color, okay? On the Crush 50X, this is probably my favorite square bill bait. This one runs 2 to 5 feet deep. It's a 3/8 ounce bait, and that one is what's called Chartreuse Pro Blue. It's one of the top selling colors, and there's obviously a reason it's one of the top selling colors. Now, as the fish get a little bit deeper, this bait's turned sideways, so I'm going to pull it out for you. We also included in this box a Cloud 15. So a Cloud 15, no big surprise, runs right at 15 feet deep. They claim it at 12 to 19. According to the line size, I crank most of the time with 15-pound test, and that's a 15-foot bait. That is the Wild Shad. It's very close to a Sexy Shad, but it's got more of a purple hue on top of it. It's a beautiful, beautiful bait. A bait that's selling like crazy for 6 Cents right now is their hybrid jig. Whoops. And the cool thing about a hybrid jig is it can be fished like a flipping jig. It's got a big heavy hook on it, but it can also be fished like a football jig. Because I like throwing a big jig, it's a 3/4 ounce jig, and this particular one is in a color called Tipped Crawl. And then the last bait, and this is a bait, now this is more of a wintertime bait, but you can catch them year round on it because it's a different feel in the water to the fish. This is the Crush 75X Flat. This is a really, really cool bait. That's the bait. 75X. It's a 5/8 ounce bait. It runs down to about 5 feet deep. On 15-pound test, it's probably more of a 4-foot deep bait. Sorry. It is a 5/8 ounce bait. So a lot of times these flat-sided square bills that you pick up, which there's several makers, they make them too light. This is a bait that you can throw. I think this is one of the coolest offerings they have. And I have a deal. So I also, besides fishing Rayburn, fish Texoma pretty regularly. And on Texoma, I like cranking something that's throwing off a different vibration than what everybody else is throwing. And a lot of guys are out there throwing 1.5s or the 50. The flat side just gives off a different vibration. And I think I catch fish when I go behind guys throwing that bait. That one is called Shad Fantasy. And if you guys don't know this, so Casey, the founder of 6th Sense, was originally a custom lure painter. And that's why some of his colors are as amazing as they are and the detail is as high as it is. I think you can see on that, not only is there great color on that, there's also a scale pattern on that. So if you give your loved one of those, or the code below, and they want to buy you the $50 box, that's the $50 box. But hey, you deserve the $100 box. The $100 box has a lot more stuff in it, and something that I don't think most of you have in your tackle box. And we're going to show you this summer why you should have this bait in your tackle box. So you still get the buff, no doubt about it. You now get, and let me stack them up here and get this right. Give me one sec. Okay, so in the $100 box, you're going to get the same two baits we put in the other box, the L7 and the 80X. You're also going to get the flat-sided bait. You're going to get the Cloud 15. You're going to get a second flat-sided bait. Needless to say, I'm a big believer in that. We put the second color in there is the Supermodel Shad. Who doesn't want to get a Supermodel for Father's Day? I can't believe Sarah just didn't yell at me from the other room after I said that. The same Crush 50X we had before. A second Divine jig, so you get 2 jigs. A second 50X in backwater bluegill. So those of you who don't know this, this is a bait. So, and by the way, I learned this lesson at Grand 2 years ago. A big chunk of Grand was very, very dirty, and all the locals were throwing black crankbaits. When you get an off-color water, that's a big deal. 6th Sense also makes a bait called Collins Crawl, Albert Collins. It is a black bait with white squiggly lines down the side. We decided to include this bait versus the Collins Claw, can't say that, the Collins Crawl, because this bait is slightly more neutral. You still, in the more murky water we have down here versus the really dirty water you get up on some of those highland reservoirs, or even some of our lakes here in Texas with all the rain this spring. This bait gives a nice dark profile, but you still get that brim pattern. The other things we included in the $100 box is a Cloud 20. That's in a blue truce shad. This is something, this comes from, excuse me while I try to think of his name, from Ray Hanselman. This, not specifically this bait, but Ray likes to throw a really big topwater lure. This is a bait that works like a spook. It throws a lot more water than a spook, and it's called the Mag Dog 130. It's a great big bait. This one's called, it's a Spanish bone is the color. Summertime, this bait moves a ton of water, and when you get a bite on that bait, you normally don't have to measure those fish. Speaking of, so this is something that I have quietly been doing on Rayburn quite a bit. I didn't get on a good bite last year, so I never got a video up on it, but it's the Mag Spoon. And I included 2 because this is a bait, you are eventually going to lose one of these baits. That's just the truth of the matter. But this is an amazing fish producer in the heat of the summer on deep structure fish. And I'm going to show you this summer. 20-pound fluorocarbon, and I will tell you, guys are sitting here watching this video going, I'm going to lose it the first time I throw it. If you will fish this and not set the hook every time you feel like you have a bite. When fish eat this, they don't turn it loose. This is a big decision. They've gone and eaten this big thing. if you will just wait and make sure it's a fish swimming with it and not a tree before you pull on them. This is very much like an Alabama rig. As long as you don't jerk on it really hard, the weight of the bait is so great. If you get over the top of it and just jiggle it, 90+% of the time, this bait's gonna come free. I told Casey this is something I've been doing for a while. I want guys on Rayburn and Toledo to know about this bite. This was a huge deal on Kentucky Lake, but interestingly, with their Asian carp problems, this bite has slowed down a lot. If you never saw the video Kelly Jordan put up a few years ago, just raking them on this bait. It was the first guy I ever knew to catch them. This is one gigantic, really fun bait to catch fish on, and you catch great big ones on this bait. So that's our $100 box. Again, the link is in the description below. You can just give that link to your loved one. They can go on, they can order whichever box that they want to for you. And I think you guys know we did a Rayburn Big Bass Splash box a few weeks ago with the guys over at Tackle Freaks, and we sold them out in 19 minutes. The 6 Cents guys promised me we're not going to sell these out in 19 minutes. They've made a bunch of these boxes for us. I don't know the exact number, but if you want to get one, I would suggest you get this coupon code, or not the coupon code, but the link over to a loved one in the next couple of weeks. I'll post this video more than once, but I think this is a really cool deal. It's funny, I love the bag almost as much as I love everything else, the buff, all the baits. This is a cool deal I'm real excited to offer for you guys, and it's every bait in this box is baits I have used and baits I like using and colors that work on the lakes that I fish. So I think you will enjoy all this, and maybe you get some socks and some underwear as well, but I think this is a pretty good Father's Day gift. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the water in the next few weeks.